Hi, in this video I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorite rock and roll artists of all time. I want to talk to you about Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix is an amazing guitarist. Jimi Hendrix when he was born, his name was John Allen Hendrix on November 27, 1942 in Seattle, Washington. Later he was renamed James Marshall by his father, James Al Hendrix, who was in the U.S. Army at the time of his son's birth. His mother was 17-year-old Lucille Jeter. Hendrix received his first guitar when he was 16. It was a second-hand acoustic. They cost $5. He received it from his father. A year later, he bought an electric guitar, a Supro Orzak 1560S. Hendrix, naturally a left-handed, played a right-handed guitar without restringing it, so he would just simply flip the guitar over and play the keys backwards. His parents had a fragile relationship, which led to Al, his father, eventually leaving the family after the couple had 2 more children together. In 1959, Hendrix dropped out of high school. In 1961, Jimmy left home to enlist in the United States Army, becoming a paratrooper. In his free time as a soldier, he also found time to play in a band that he created named the King Casuals. He was given an honorable discharge due to injury in 1962. After leaving the military, he pursued his music, working as a session guitarist and playing backup for such performers as Little Richard, Sam Cooke, the Isley Brothers. He also was in a group of his own called Jimmy James and the Blue Flames. In 1962, former Animals bassist Chaz Chandler caught Jimmy James and the Blue Flames at the Cafe Wha. Chandler quickly became Hendrix's manager, and he convinced him to relocate to London, where he and the newly formed Jimi Hendrix Experience quickly became the talk of the town, which was London, in the fall of 1966. The Experience's first single, Hey Joe, spent 10 weeks on the UK charts. The debut single was quickly followed by a full-length album entitled Are You Experienced? Although Hendrix experienced overwhelming success in Britain, it wasn't until he returned to the United States in 1967 that he won over American fans. At the Monterey International Pop Festival, a performance in which ended with Hendrix lighting his guitar on fire. After finally receiving the title of rock star, Jimmy and the Experience would record all of his 3 landmark albums: Are You Experienced, Access, Bold as Love, Electric Ladyland, in the span of 2 years. In preparation for his last album with the Jimi Hendrix Experience, Jimi Hendrix built his own recording studio, Electric Ladyland Studios in New York City, a landmark in music at the time because most artists didn't have their own music studio to record whenever they wanted. In 1969, the Jimi Hendrix Experience disbanded due to creative differences. With the Experience now defunct, Hendrix debuted a short-lived experimental band called Gypsies and the Sun and Rainbows at the Woodstock Music Festival. At this festival, he played his interpretation of the Star-Spangled Banner and its amazed crowds. He would go on to continue to tour and begin working on a new album tentatively named First Rays of the New Rising Sun, with Cox and Mitch Mitchell from the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Unfortunately, Hendrix did not live to see this project completely through. Under the extreme pressure from a combination of non-stop work, sudden celebrity, creative demand, and his drug habits, Jimmy was beginning to show signs of exhaustion in 1970. On September 18, 1970, he died from suffocation having inhaled vomit from a drug overdose. He was only 27 years old. Jimi Hendrix was arguably one of the greatest instrumentalists in the history of rock music. I like Jimi Hendrix because I feel we have a couple things in common. We both come from wealthy ethnic backgrounds, we're both left-handed, and we're both trying to do things with our life to create, to make things. I hope that you enjoyed this and maybe you learned some things about Jimi Hendrix that you possibly didn't know before, or maybe you just are learning about Jimi Hendrix for the first time. Thank you for your time.